we go. Ciao, ragazzi. So, this is a test to see if what I'm trying to do is going to actually work. My goal is to learn Italian in 2024. I was going to start out not knowing anything, but I've actually started doing Duolingo on December 1st because my kids were doing it. So I've got almost a month of working on Duolingo under my belt, but that doesn't mean I actually know anything. On this channel, I'm going to be streaming my daily lessons using Rosetta Stone and the Foreign Service Institute's programmed Italian class to try to learn Italian. You guys are welcome to join along. There should be a chat over there that will... I should actually move this over here. There. I think there should be a chat in the window. Hopefully there is. I'm not actually looking at that. Let me click on this. Hey, there we are. And there's a little bit of a delay, and I don't know why. So I will respond to what you say, it just may not be timely. I talk about it as if people are watching. I know there's nobody watching right now except me, who, because I'm recording it on my other computer to see how it looks to everyone else. So I'm going to be using this, which is Rosetta Stone, and I'm going to be using this, which should pop up here. That's my speed test. We'll get rid of that. Oh, there it is. I don't want you over there. I should have had this all set up before I hit stream, but, you know, this is a learning experience. So this is the Foreign Institute Italian course. It's from like 1976 or something. But I don't think Italian's changed. And the State Department knows how to train people to learn languages, and I don't think they've changed what they've done recently. So this course is 30 some odd lessons. The first 4, which I guess are these, A, B, C, and D, they are, yeah, A, B, C, and D are like pre-test, pre-course work.
FSI Italian.
All right, hopefully you'll be able to hear that. So let me stroll down here, you know, to where I should have had this already set up. Sorry. All right, there we are. So the 4 preliminary units are kind of geared to get you in tune with what to expect out of the course, how it's set up, and give you a little bit of introduction to Italian. So for the next couple days, I'm going to be doing this once a day to do these 4 modules. And then starting on January 1st, I will start daily doing a couple lessons from this and a bit of Rosetta Stone. I expect to stream for 60 to 90 minutes a day. Probably in the morning, like around 10 o'clock Central Time in the U.S., which is GMT minus 6 right now. 5 in the minus 5 in the summer. And we'll see if I can learn to speak English. It's definitely a you can't teach an old dog new tricks situation. So let me start this, and we'll go through this first.
Preliminary
first
Unit
deal.
A.
It's
What
loud.
is Italian? A language has been referred to as organized noise. The sounds that one hears in a given language are organized. They form a system. In some languages, you may frequently hear certain types of sounds not normally heard in other languages. Listen to the following English word, which we will call word A. Tick, tick. None of the sounds you just heard in word A are normally heard in Italian. Listen again. Tick, tick. Listen to the following English word, which we will call word B. Tip, tip. Frame 5. Would you say that the first sound heard in word B is normally heard in Italian? Listen again. Tip, tip. The answer is no. Here is another English word, word C. Listen. Hurt, hurt. None of the sounds you just heard in word C are normally heard in Italian. Listen again. Hurt, hurt. Listen to the following English word, word D. Her, her. Frame 9. Would you say that any of the sounds heard in word D are normally heard in Italian? Listen again. Her, her. The answer is no. Frame 10. In learning Italian, will you have to try to avoid making certain sounds? The answer is yes. In studying a foreign language, you will often find that some sounds familiar to you in English or some other language that you know will appear in unfamiliar positions in Italian words. For instance, here is an English word, word E. Listen. So, so. Word E begins with a type of sound that we will call for the time being the S sound. Listen to the following English word, word F. Low, low. Word F begins with a sound type that we will call, for the time being, the L sound. Sounds that are very similar, if not identical, to the S sound and L sound exist in Italian. In English, many words begin with the S sound followed by the L sound. For example, the words slow, sleep, play, fly. An Italian who does not speak English, however, is likely to imitate these four English words as follows. Slow, sleep, slay, sly. Frame 19. Is the Italian pronouncing these words with an initial S sound followed by an L sound? Listen again. Slow, sleep, slay, sly. The answer is no. Whereas it is normal in English to begin words with the S sound followed by the L sound, this is not normal in Italian. Frame 21. Would you say that the Italian combination that replaces the English is normal at the beginning of words in English? Listen again to the Italian pronunciation. Slow, sleep, slay, sly.
I would say no.
The answer is no. Frame 22.
He's very
Does the
negative.
S sound, or something very similar to it, exist at all in Italian? The answer is yes. Frame 23. Does the L sound, or something very similar to it, exist at all in Italian? The
Yes.
answer is yes. Frame 24. Would you say that the S sound, followed by the L sound, normally occurs at the beginning of words in Italian? The answer is no. Frame 25. In learning Italian, will you sometimes have to try to avoid making certain sound combinations? The answer is yes. Frame 26. In learning Italian, will you sometimes have to make certain sounds and sound combinations that are not normal for English? The answer is yes.
Yes.
The sound system of a language is called its phonology. One may wish to study the phonology of a language, just as one may wish to study the vocabulary of a language, that is, the words that exist in a given language. Frame 29. Complete the following statement. Two areas of study of a language might be
Phonology.
The answers
Vocabulary.
are phonology, vocabulary. A third area of study of a language might consist of the way in which words come together to form phrases and sentences. This area is called the grammar of a language. Frame 31. Complete the following statement. The speech of a given community may be analyzed in terms of phonology, vocabulary, and
Grammar.
The answer is grammar. When two speech communities share basic features of phonology, vocabulary, and grammar, we say that the speech types of the two communities are related. Another term for related speech types is dialect. In this sense, then, with reference to the United States, one may speak of the Chicago dialect of American English, the metropolitan New York dialect of American English, etc. On a larger scale, one may also speak of British English and American English as being two dialects of English. Frame 35. Would you call a type of speech that is characteristic of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a dialect of American English?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Frame 36. And a type of speech that is characteristic of Boston, Massachusetts? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Frame 37. And a type of speech that is characteristic of Charleston, South Carolina? The answer is yes. In Italy, the geographical area we are here concerned with, there exist many related speech types that have developed from one common stock, traditionally called Vulgar Latin. The term Vulgar Latin refers to a popular or colloquial form of Latin spoken at the time of the Roman Empire. The related speech types existing in Italy are so varied that a Venetian and a Roman, a Tuscan and a Sicilian, or any two speakers of different regional dialects often cannot understand each other if each speaks his own dialect.
If you're interested, my roots are Sicilian, from Santa Flavia in Italy, in Sicily, and that's the Sicilian flag.
In a sense, the situation is similar to one in which a London Cockney, a Maine farmer, and a Scottish shepherd might try to communicate with one another. They would find it very difficult to communicate if each used his own individual brand of English. Because dialects like Venetian, Roman, Milanese, and Neapolitan are spoken in the geographical area called Italy, and because of the basic relationship between them, linguists refer to them as Italian, whether they are considering them as individual dialects or as a whole. Thus, the term Italian may refer to many different dialects, individually considered, or to the sum total of all such dialects. The linguistic distinction between a language and a dialect may be compared to the distinction that exists in spectrology between a so-called primary color and a shade. The concept red, for example, embraces many shades, such as rose, ruby, and scarlet, but all may be referred to as red, the cover-all term for this group of closely related color types. As a primary color represents a set of color shades, each of which may be referred to by the name of the primary color, so a language, then, represents a set of dialects, each of which may be referred to by the name of the language. If a color shade, such as scarlet or rose, is one form of a primary color, such as red, a dialect, such as Florentine or Neapolitan, is one form of a language, such as Italian. Frame 48. Complete the following statement. The term color shade has meaning only when opposed to the term primary color. the term dialect has meaning only when opposed to the term.
Language.
The answer is language. Frame 49. Is the shade of scarlet more red than another shade of red, such as rose? The answer is no. Frame 50. Is the Florentine dialect more Italian than another Italian dialect, such as Neapolitan or Venetian? The answer is no.
But the Sicilian dialect is.
Frame 51. Are
Little prejudice there.
scarlet and rose two forms of red? The answer is yes. Frame 52. Are Florentine and Neapolitan two forms of Italian? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Frame 53. Is the shade of rose ever referred to as red? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Frame 54. May the Neapolitan dialect ever be referred to as Italian? The answer is
yes.
In the 14th century, many Italian writers wrote in a style which was characteristic of their own dialect. One such writer was Dante Alighieri, born in Florence in the region of Tuscany. Frame 56. What was Dante Alighieri's dialect of Italian?
Florentine.
The answer is Florentine or Tuscan. The works of Dante gained such prestige that his style was imitated by other writers of his day. Consequently, his dialect, Tuscan, gradually came to be a model of speech and writing for many Italians. Throughout the centuries, great writers, university professors, and other learned Italians have agreed to use Tuscan as the basis for a kind of Italian that has come to be idealized by many. This type of Italian that one has attempted to teach in schools and which is represented in traditional grammar texts will be referred to here as Idealized Standard Italian, or ISI. Frame 59. On which Italian dialect is ISI based? The answer
Tuscan.
is Tuscan. Frame 60. Is the kind of Italian that has generally been taught in schools based on Tuscan? The answer is yes. While based on the Tuscan dialect, ISI is not wholly Tuscan. Throughout the centuries, the Tuscan dialect, as well as the other Italian dialects, has undergone certain changes in matters of phonology, vocabulary, and grammar. These changes have not all been incorporated in ISI. On the other hand, ISI contains certain features of phonology, vocabulary, and grammar which belong to Italian dialects other than Tuscan. Frame 62. Is ISI wholly Tuscan? The answer is no. Frame 63. Are all the features of Tuscan found in ISI? The answer is no.
No.
Frame 64. Does ISI contain non-Tuscan features? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Frame 65. Have other Italian dialects contributed to what is found in ISI? The answer is yes. With the unification of Italy in 1861 and the rise in prestige of the new capital, Rome, in 1870, the idealized speech of the cultured Roman has increasingly constituted a rival to Tuscan as the basis for ISI. A certain amount of controversy has thus arisen pertaining to the acceptability in ISI of certain linguistic features, the source of which is either Florence or Rome. Frame 67. Is ISI based primarily on the Roman dialect?
The answer is
no.
No.
Frame 68. Which Italian dialect still forms the basis for ISI?
The answer is
Tuscan.
Tuscan.
Frame 69. Are features of the Roman dialect of any importance in ISI? The answer is yes.
Yes.
If one considers ISI, however, as an ideal speech type, approached more closely and more often by some Italian speakers than by others, one cannot deny that in practice nowhere is this ideal achieved with absolute exactness. Frame 71. May ISI then be said to have any real native speakers? The answer is no. Italians striving to speak ISI will naturally pronounce ISI differently according to their regional dialect. These various pronunciations, together with regional features of vocabulary and grammar that may appear in the speech of Italians, in reality constitute different types of speech. Frame 73. Some of these Italian speech types are accepted as standard by most educated speakers of Italian. Others are not so accepted. The accepted types constitute what is here referred to as Practical Standard Italian, or PSI. Frame 74. Which is only an ideal, ISI or PSI? The answer is ISI. Frame 75. Which, on the other hand, is real, ISI or PSI?
PSI.
The answer is PSI. Frame 76. You would expect an educated Italian, then, to speak which of the two, ISI or PSI? The answer is PSI. Frame 77. What would you expect two educated Italians from different parts of Italy to use in speaking with each other? The answer is PSI. Frame 78. Will the pronunciation of these two Italians be exactly the same? The answer is no. Frame 79. Will all the vocabulary and grammar used by these two Italians be necessarily identical?
The answer
is no. Frame 80. Consequently, would you call PSI A, one dialect, or B, various kinds of speech? The answer is B. Frame 81. Is PSI accepted as standard by most educated speakers of Italian? The answer is yes. Frame 82. If ISI and PSI are standard forms of Italian, would it be appropriate to refer to any other kind of Italian speech as non-standard Italian, or NSI? The answer is yes. Frame 83. Are there any native speakers of ISI? The answer is no. Frame 84. Are there any native speakers of PSI? The answer is yes. Frame 85. Are there any native speakers of NSI? The answer is yes. Many Italians grow up speaking two forms of Italian, one classifiable as PSI and the other classifiable as NSI. Thus, although a person from Genoa and a person from Bologna, for example, might have difficulty communicating with each other in their individual brands of NSI, they can easily communicate by using PSI. Italian speakers, like speakers of other languages, are often worried about whether a certain linguistic feature is good or bad, correct or incorrect. Since such terms are value judgments that mean different things to different people, it is probably more practical in language discussions to replace them with the terms idealized standard Italian, practical standard Italian, and non-standard Italian. A linguistic item may be perfectly correct or appropriate in NSI, but incorrect or inappropriate in PSI. Also, something may be correct in PSI, but not in NSI. Instead of the threefold distinction of ISI, PSI, and NSI, many Italian speakers make only a twofold distinction. For them, ISI and PSI are indiscriminately referred to by such terms as Standard Italian, Italian, or La Lingua. NSI they call non-Italian or dialect. The preceding exercises have attempted to show that every Italian speaks one or more brands or dialects of Italian. Some of these dialects are standard, whereas others are non-standard. This course will try to teach the type of Italian referred to here as ISI, but only when the latter does not differ markedly from PSI. In other words, anything in ISI that represents only something idealized, but not actually said in everyday Italian speech, may be given for students' information, but what students are expected to learn is what Italians actually say. This is the end of the recorded portion for Preliminary Unit A.
Well, I didn't find that as painful as I expected it to be. But there's a test. It's not recorded. Are there any native speakers of ISI? I think the answer was no. Is ISI based on any one Italian dialect? I think the answer is yes, and it's Tuscan. On which dialect? Tuscan. Is ISI identical to Tuscan? I think the answer is no. Are there any native speakers of PSI? I think the answer was yes. It says is, but I think it's, well, Is ISI identical to PSI? The answer, I think, is no. Does PSI contain any regional variance? I'm not clear on that. I think the regional variants become NSI, don't they? So I'd go with no. And then are there any native speakers of NSI? I think the answer is yes. And I bet I have an answer key. Yeah, let's go through the rest of this. Can one be a native speaker of PSI and a native speaker of NSI at the same time? I'd say yes. And as used in this unit, does the term dialect refer to a corrupted version of a language? I'm going to go with yes, but I'd need to reread the definition of dialect. I'm not sure it's a corruption necessarily as much as just a difference in the way things are pronounced, but maybe that's a corruption. Milanese is a dialect. Tuscan is a dialect. Do Italians speak different dialects? Yes. Might one dialect be incomprehensible to the speaker of another dialect? Yes, just try to listen to the Scottish. May the term Italian refer... Apologies if you're from Scotland, but, I've heard you try to talk about whatever. Literally, whatever. May the term Italian refer to a dialect such as Neapolitan or Sicilian? I'm going to go with yes. In an environment in which people speak only NSI, would it be correct for a speaker of NSI to speak PSI? Probably within the confines of the NSI community, the answer would be no. But you would think the non-standard Italians would also speak practical standard Italian, or there would be some measure of overlap. So maybe? In such an environment, what would be the correct form of speech? If NSI is what they speak, it would be NSI. Is ISI more Italian than NSI? I would go with no. Is PSI more Italian than NSI? I would still go with no. For students who plan to deal with Italians of varied social levels, what is it most advisable that they learn? I'm going to go with PSI. That ends Unit A. Let me see if I can find, the instructor's manual. There's the instructor. Hey, that's got a nicer cover than mine. Let's click on that. Tick, tip, hurt, her, so, low, slow, slip, slay, slay. Those were all the sounds not made in Italian, I think. Cool. All right, let's see. Are there any native speakers of ISI? Whoops, where's answer 1? 5, 9. Oh, there's the test. The answer is no. And these up here with the, these back here, some of the frames had stars, and I think those are the ones that show up here. But he gave us the answers. Whoops. All right, let's see. Is ISI based on one dialect? The answer is yes, Tuscan, that's right. 4. Is it identical? I think the answer is no. The answer is no. Number 5. Are there any native speakers? I think the answer is yes. There were native speakers of PSI and NSI, I think is what he said. The answer is yes. We already saw the answer They're not identical. 7 should be no. Oh, 7's yes. Let's see. 7 PSI contains regional variants. Are there any native speakers? 8 is yes. 8 is yes. 9. Can one be a native speaker of PSI and a native speaker at NSI at the same time? 9, I'm going to go with yes. Yes. As used in this unit, does the term dialect refer to a corrupted version of a language? I think corrupted. I think a dialect isn't corrupted. Number 10 is no, they're not corrupted. 11 and 12 are both yes. 11 and 12 are both yes. 13, do Italians speak different dialects? The answer is yes. Might one dialect be comprehensible? 13 and 14 are both yes. 13 and 14 are both yes. May the term Italian refer to a dialect such as Neapolitan or Sicilian? The answer is yes. 15, the answer is yes. In an environment in which people speak only NSI, would it be correct for a speaker of NSI to speak PSI? No, because the community speaks NSI, right? And you do what the community does. You blend in. What would be the correct version? That's got to be NSI. So the 16 is going to be no, 17 is going to be NSI, right? 16 in NSI. And then no, and PSI. Is ISI more Italian? No. Is PSI more Italian? No. For students who plan to deal with varied social levels, what's most available? It would be PSI, right? Number 20, PSI. And then that starts B. So, this FSI course is in the video description or in the community. It's in the link in the community, and it should also be in the video description when this posts, unless there's already a video description showing. But I've got it on my Google Drive. There's a link to download the file, which it's going to contain this. Whoops. Yeah, I guess it's going to contain, it's not going to have the Rosetta Stone. It's going to have the Italian Head Start. It might have the audio companion in there. I don't know if I grouped that together. It's going to have the Head Start, the programmed, and the 2 FAST courses. FAST are DLI courses, and it's familiarization. Let me pull this up. Familiarization and short-term training. And that's taught at DLI too. But it's all in the download, all the Italian. What I'm going to be going through is the Italian programmed course, because I think it's the most complete. And that's Lake Tahoe, if anyone's interested. Lake Tahoe's beautiful. I didn't stay there. I just went there long enough to drive up to Tahoe, drive around the lake, and then drive back to Oakland. I'm not rich enough to actually stay in Tahoe. So if I'd stayed much longer, they would have run me off. I'm also going to be using Rosetta Stone. I'm starting at level 1, unit 1, lesson 1. And I'm going to work through this every day. I'm probably not going to do a whole unit, but I might. It depends on how long it takes to go through a whole unit. We'll see. But I plan on doing a bit of the FSI course and then the Rosetta Stone course. There's also a link in the description to download all 5 levels of the Rosetta Stone Italian and the program that runs it. You just need to find an activation code. And I don't know where you get those anymore because Rosetta Stone absolutely does not in any way support their language, their computer-based language programs anymore, which is what I own. I own Italian and Russian and Chinese and Arabic and a few others, German, French, on the CDs because I bought them on eBay really cheap. But I'm hoping, and let me start one of these because I do want to. We're going to reset. Let me test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It seemed to like that. Maybe.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Buongiorno. Doesn't like my microphones. Buongiorno. 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 I don't know which microphone it's using. Buongiorno. No, it's not using that one. Well, this is going to be a pain in the ass if it doesn't recognize these. Buongiorno. 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 Sorry if I'm yelling at you. Buongiorno. I know it doesn't like my XLR microphone. Buongiorno. There we go.
Buongiorno.
Maybe I'll just have to listen out of one and use the other one outside the
Una
ear.
bambina. Un bambino. Un bambino.
Un bambino.
Una bambina.
Una bambina. Una bambina.
La bambina mangia. La bambina beve. Il bambino mangia. Il bambino beve.
Il bambino beve. All right. All right, so that's enough of that to get an idea of what works and what doesn't, which is really my goal. I wanted to go through Module A of the FSI course and then make sure I can click on the lessons in Rosetta Stone and get them to work. I have a Twitter account, Italian in 2024 maybe, or Learn Italian in 2024, I think is my handle. It's in the description, but I'll have more on that tomorrow. I also set up a Discord. I don't know anything about Discord, but I'm guessing if anybody actually ends up ever watching any of this, we can have a discussion there. This is going to be a long-term thing. I'm probably going to be on here, yammering away at myself, for a year or more to try to learn Italian. And then intermixed with this, I'll also use Duolingo on the side. And I'm recording Rob in Duolingo if you want to look for me and friend up. We can track each other's progress. Again, I speak as if anybody's actually going to be watching. I actually have no expectation that anybody will be watching. So that's what I've got on this so far. So if why is my main camera not working? Oh, well, it's working over there. So if you have any questions, post them in the chat or in the comments to the video when I post it, and I'll post that later on today. I'll do one of these in the morning and then post it, or maybe sometime between 9 and noon. I'll settle on a time. And then as soon as I'm done recording it, I'll post the video. I'm not going to do any editing to it. So whatever we talk about here is what ends up being on the channel. So that's what I got. Let me know what you think. And I actually hope other people join in and watch the lessons. Maybe we can all learn Italian together. I'll be pulling up newspapers and stuff from Italy, and probably not now, probably in like 8 or 9 years, when I have some ability to understand a little bit of the language. I'll pull up Italian YouTube channels and newspapers, and we'll read them and watch stuff and try to get better at it, and then and see how it goes. That's what I got. I hope you come along for the ride. Thanks, and see you next time.